Hi there, I'm called Adrian and welcome to the Principles. This is the second part of a two-part video where I was asking my good friend and creator of the Undo app and developer of the natural body meditation process over the last many decades, who's helped thousands of people with their health and is helping me with mine with this very interesting approach. I asked him to come back on and speak on two topics. The first one, which is part one, and you'll find a link to that in the description if you want to watch it, was where we talked about fibromyalgia. This one, I asked Matthew about pain and painkiller addiction and our dissociation from pain and our fear of pain and what damage that was doing to us and what we could do about it. And that led to a very interesting answer, which is what I wanted to share with you here. And I'd like to ask you to do something as well, if you would. If you find this video useful, it's interesting, would you consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already? And would you consider sharing it with someone else? And with that in mind, as always, in closing, I'd like to remind you that you are amazing and don't let anyone ever tell you otherwise. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye. I'm very fortunate in that for the last 35 years, I have steadfastly refused to take any pills or painkillers or anything because I
Ah,
want the message, because the message serves me. I know that, even though
yeah,
there's been times where it's been very uncomfortable. And I can use things like DMSO to reduce the kind of intense nerve sensation so it calms down so it's
yeah.
tolerable. But the really
Fantastic
important,
product, by the way.
oh,
Oh,
it's amazing. Yeah.
it's king. Yeah.
It's one, there's a handful that I think are important, and it's right up there at the top.
Oh,
The important point to make there is what you've been talking about this entire time is this very destructive disconnection between the mind and the body. So when you
yeah,
take painkillers, why do you think painkiller addiction is a problem? And what do you think that does to people's attempt to heal? Because I don't see how they can heal when they have painkillers. They just get some sense of comfort, but the disconnection is a real problem, isn't it?
absolutely. Okay, I really have to, I'm going to try and remember, be thorough as I can here. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
This is very, very important. Um, One thing that a lot of people don't know about painkillers and also blood pressure tablets, by the way, is they have within them, you've ever heard of the date rate drug? I think it's Rehypnol or something, but
Retinol, yeah.
they have both blood pressure tablets and painkillers have within them this effect of um, causing a person to forget, yeah, to disconnect and forget. What's the other thing that causes a person to disconnect and forget?
Trauma.
And that is trauma, massive, massive
Yep.
trauma.
Yep.
Yeah. So painkillers and blood pressure tablets, actually, I found out at one stage, which was because I actually went on them. Yeah. I was confused at the time and I went on them. And the effect was horrific. In that I felt myself numb out and I could not unnumb myself. And I'm a person who's been for the last, I don't know, 45 years or something, quite whole. So my sense of my body self, my sense of my whole self is uh, all encompassing.
Mhm.
And I live like that all the time. And it was frightening.
Yeah.
Because to the degree that that numbed me out, to the same degree, I became disassociated and insensitive to other people,
Yep.
disconnected from and insensitive to people around me.
Mm.
So painkillers are habit forming, not, I'm going to talk about on a very deep and subtle level of why they're habit forming. But I did, just before I jump onto that, I did want to just mention that these two drugs do desensitize, and therefore they cause the body itself, which is all there is to me. They cause me as a living, breathing organism to not be able to know what is going on inside of myself. And if I, at a sensory, sensational level, do not know what's going on inside of myself, the other thing that happens is I don't respond.
Yep.
And if I don't have a response, and this is the body, me, the body speaking, if I don't respond to a need inside of myself, it's because I have not received the alert.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
if I can't, and when I say I'm not talking about any central point here. The heart may need to respond to the liver may need to respond to the spleen. The knee may need to respond to different parts of the heart. The body is a massive decentralized communication. I'm made up on one thing, but I'm made up of a whole bunch of things. Yeah. From feet through to head. Yeah, I'm made up of a whole bunch of systems. Now, if those systems are not able to communicate as one whole feeling sensory creature, and that communication gets chopped off, then that body doesn't get the alert. It doesn't know what to do. It doesn't know to do anything. So from that point on, I will be so bold as to say all healing, apart from the absolutely superficial level of healing, maybe a scar healing, but all healing from an event, from an operation, from a trauma, from a sickness, all healing, to heal completely will never happen. Yeah? It will simply not happen. Because what is required for healing is the body needs to know for and within itself, as the body knows, not its thinking, but as the body knows, because it is itself experiencing itself sensorially in knowing at that level exactly how it is all the time. Yeah.
Yep.
If you think about the thyroid, just the thyroid, what that does in balancing all the hormones and so forth, it's a hugely complex, very subtle system of non-intellectual intelligence. Yeah, non-thought-based intelligence. This is the highest level of intelligence there is, because it never gets it wrong. It never has a question. It's made up of continuous answers. Every sensation in the body is an indication and an answer to the rest of the body of what needs to be done.
Yeah.
So it's not a question, answer, response. It's when something is wrong, what to do comes with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, this is very difficult for people to conceptualize, because thinking doesn't operate in this way. It's very, very slow. Yeah. And thinking starts out not knowing and trying to know. Yeah. And so it's a very different function. Yeah. Whereas what goes on in the body is, this is also a difficult thing to conceptualize, is timeless, meaning that everything happens at once. Everything that happens at once. And from the point of view of the body only has its own living experience. And when does that living experience occur? And when is the only time that that living experience occurs? Is right now.
Yep.
So only the body is actually in the here and now. Thinking is never in the here and now. So that's why meditation techniques will never bring you into the here and now. Until you stop thinking, you are not.
Isn't that funny when they say when you're meditating, Matthew, they say make sure you're present, but how can you be present when you've disconnected yourself?
Yes. And very true. You can't be and this is what they really mean, isn't it? We want you to be present, connected.
Yes, that's
but
right.
You
that's
can't,
what it should be.
It's what it should be. And so they've created the problem through using thinking in order to meditate. They created the problem of, and the potential of, not being present.
Yep.
So then they come up with all these techniques of how to become present. The problem was created through thought, and the answer they come up with has also come from thought. So what is the underlying problem? Is that thought has created the illusion that we can be disconnected from ourselves, that we can not be present, that we can not be here now, as if there's somewhere else to be.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And then come up with the solutions on how to get back into where you can never leave in the first place.
How's that for a phenomenal waste of time and a load of
Yeah.
confusion?
So it's just a massive illusion. And this is why I don't like religion.
Yep.
It creates the problems because it's all based in thought. And then their own thought process, they come up with the solutions, which is still based in the belief that the problem is real. So what I'm going to say is the body, and knowing ourselves as a body is not a thought-based thing. There is no way you cannot be present. But the present I'm talking about means that the body is in the living experience of itself. This is not memory-based. This has got no opinion. This is just a constant discovery of myself as I exist. So there's no way without thought to go into imaginings about the future or reminiscences of the past. So we can't mess ourselves up. So thinking really messes us up. Yeah. It doesn't have to, but we misuse it. Yeah. If we stick to using it just for mechanical things, no problem. But when we try to use thinking to solve our problems, either healing ourselves or resolving our psychological or our personal problems, what's happened already is thinking's created the problems through the mistakes that thinking makes. So thinking makes us sick, and then thinking says, I'm going to make you well. It's not going to. Yeah. Not essentially. What is going to make me well? So the body is, as a body, as I'm talking to you right now, it's very simple, isn't it? Actually, there is nothing else but this, what's going on right now. So there's nothing beyond this to know or that we can know. Yeah, but we don't like to think that way. Thought wants to be able to know everything, but how can we? Yeah, well, unless everything is all that we have right here and now, yeah, which I'm suggesting it is, but that's another argument. All we can know is right here and now. Therefore, we can know everything, but in a very different way to thought process. It doesn't mean knowing what's going to happen in the future or knowing even what happened in the past. That's all just interpretation of our thinking anyway. Yeah. But what we do know and what we do have as a body, every part of me knows the condition that as I'm sitting here talking to you now, I rely on my sense of myself to know everything about myself.
But that's something you can't do when you have the painkillers because of that disconnect.
Oh, thank you. You brought me back. I got carried away. The painkillers cause a disconnection. Yeah. And that means that now, why is painkiller habitual forming? Most people would think because when I take the painkiller to relieve the pain, I become dependent on having that relief from the pain. But habits or addictions are much deeper than that. What I've found with addiction is that when we do something that is harmful, it causes a harm in the body. When we cause a harm in the body, that part of the body is, if you like, desensitized a little bit.
Yep.
So, for example, if I smoke a cigarette, at first, when I haven't done it before, I'll cough and splutter. But if I persist, if I'm determined, I can desensitize and dumb down that part of my nervous system to the point where it doesn't react anymore. Yeah. So therefore, I've just deadened that sensitivity, which equals that level of intelligence about my own existence and about my world around me. I've just dumbed that down a little bit.
Yeah, you've broken the feedback loop, haven't you?
Broken the feedback loop.
Yep.
Now, you never get addicted to eating carrots, but you can get addicted to eating sugar. Yeah, because when you eat carrots, you don't get addicted because carrots are, let's say, nutrient-based food, there for the human being, the body. Sugar is poison, we all know it's poison to the body. Not that we're some of it, but it's not nutrient based. So if you're eating food that isn't really food, your nutrient level drops. So you become hungrier, but you don't become hungrier for carrots, because you're looking for more than carrots. What happens is, what you need is a carrot. But once your nutrient level drops and you dumb down and you weaken, what's starting to happen there is you're starting to fall into a state of pain, of distress. And what do we want when we have pain and distress, because of our wrong relationship with it? Is we want something to feel better. We want something to feel good. Yeah. And it's interesting, the more you smoke a cigarette, the more you want to. The more you eat chocolate, the more you want to. Then as you back that off, you go the other way, where you can go the other way. Well, I don't want to eat that. You get repulsive towards chocolate. Yeah. And this is because the sensitivity of the body, which is the intelligence of the body telling you exactly what it needs and desires to eat.
Yes.
Yeah. So we can smell it now. We can taste it now. But when we were smoking cigarettes, we couldn't smell, we couldn't taste. We didn't have a clue what we're putting in there. Yeah, so the intelligence of the body is incredible. But because we actually, at a sensory, at an organic level, like any other animal, we know exactly how much and exactly what we need, if we can possibly find it in the world we're in today. Yeah?
Yes.
But once we start using what we think is food, or if we're unlucky enough to be brought up on junk, then what will happen is the food becomes, I don't eat for nutrients and survival now. I eat to have some pleasure, to get me out of the pain that I'm in. And this is where eating that type of food becomes addictive. So once something harms me, it causes me pain at some level. Not necessarily the feeling of, a punch in the head, but the pain of the distress that the body feels when something's wrong. Yeah. And that pain is essentially disassociation, where we disconnect a function in ourselves. And as we disconnect more, we lose our ability to know. We can't know anymore. We lose our intelligence and we go down. And this means the only thing we go for is the thing that we seek now, pleasure, over our pain. And so how do we form habits? Is by, if we eat carrots, you can eat, you eat as many carrots. You give me a box of carrots and I won't just keep eating. I'll eat to a point where I'll stop. Any healthy food, any normal food. But chocolate, I can eat it and I still don't feel satisfied. Yeah. And so I eat more. But what happens is, as I get more hurt, so that actually becomes a source of pain, that I'm really starting to feel depleted. And I actually eat to feed my eating is actually feeding what's driving that eating. So I'm stuck in a loop. So I'm eating out of pain, and I'm causing myself more pain in eating that, and I can't get enough. So I'm not understanding the sensations in my body when I think I'm hungry, when I'm actually feeling, let's say, fear. I might be feeling fear in my stomach because this stuff is killing you, man, or whatever. And I mistake that for hunger, and I eat for the sake of resolving that. So we lose this incredibly refined intelligence of the body to know everything about itself all of the time, as long as we don't think about ourselves. So habits come about through the use of painkillers, because we are suppressing our ability to know our own condition, for the body to know its own condition. This in turn brings about a sense of distress in the body, because it's like a panic, actually. A panic of, there's something wrong and I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Exactly the same way trauma affects us. There's something wrong, but I can't remember it. But I feel distress. Yeah. And trauma affects us in exactly the same way as drug therapy does. Drug therapy affects us in exactly the same way, or I won't say exactly, I'll just use the word in very much similar ways to being traumatized. And that is, it desensitizes, it switches off our body's innate knowing of what the hell is going on in here. And then we get into panic, or we get into distress. And what most people are feeling with fibromyalgia, for example, they are feeling a sense of hopelessness, of not being able to get over this. They're also feeling a sense of distress, yeah, understandably. And that distress is very confusing, because when that distress is the body not knowing what's wrong, but knowing something is wrong.
Yeah.
This is way beyond our intellectual mental capacities by this point. Yeah. By this point, we are just stupefied.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's why
panicked.
people feel stuck, isn't it?
And that's the word I'm looking for. Thank you.
Yeah.
And people with this particular condition feel absolutely frozen, stuck, whether it's trauma or whether it's fibromyalgia. And it says, you know, wherever we turn, I've got that condition, I've got this condition. Oh, God, there's another one that proves I've got it. Yeah. Separate out all those conditions and deal with each of those conditions in their own right. Take away the big umbrella, the big nasty umbrella of fibromyalgia, throw it in the bin, and do this with the psychological ones as well. You know, schizophrenia became dual personality, split personality. Oh my God, it just goes, you know, multiple personality. All these things are the same thing.
What do they call it now? Dissociative personality disorder.
Dissociative disorder.
Yeah.
I'm losing track, to be honest. I've been in the game for so long, I've had to change the word I use at least 20 times for the same condition.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least 20 times. And there's variations. I'm talking about including all the variations.
Yeah.
Yeah. What does it boil down to? Honestly, physical and mental health problems boil down to the loss of the body's ability to take care of it, and not giving the body the sovereignty it deserves to take care of it. Mm-hmm. And using this mechanical process of thinking, which is only for working out a shopping list or cooking a meal, and nothing much deeper than that. Yeah. And if it tries to go any deeper than that, it screws it up. Now, what do we got? We got this intelligence of the body. We're not allowing the body to do what only the body can do. I lost track there. Can you bring me back to?
Okay, we talked about people being stuck, and we were talking about all the different names that.
That's correct. I'd like to talk about that. All these different names. What is it? Oh, yeah, I lost the key point. And the key point was disassociation or disconnection.
Yep.
Disassociation is, from what I have discovered, the sole only cause of mental and physical illness. And reconnection, reintegration is the only way to heal ourselves completely. Yep. When I say completely, what I mean, I don't just mean get rid of the physical aspect, physical expression of it. If you've been badly traumatized, yes, you have to get over the trauma of what you've been through. But there's something even harder to get over. You have to get over the association that you've created between a natural feeling and a vicious attack. So if you've been abused as a child, you'll have natural feelings that have been a physical with.
Matthew, you're
It's
frozen,
horrifying. Mate. Oh, sorry.
I lost the bit where you said if you've been abused as a child, you'll have the natural feelings, and then I lost the rest of that.
Okay. When you're abused as a child, and I'm just going to touch on this and get away from it again because it's a very big topic. a person who has discomfort around sexuality, at some point in their life, they've had an experience that's changed their natural association with the feelings of sexuality from being pleasurable and nice, yeah, to being horrific and frightening. Now, what is so devastating about this is you are through harming a person, you are changing their relationship with the core of their being, with the sense of how it will always be to feel themselves. Yeah. And so not only do you have to get over a trauma of something being done to you and all the complications that that brings in, but you also have to get over the wrong association that you have with a natural sensation before you can ever enjoy the pleasure and the fulfillment of that sensation, which you are born able to do. So how do we do that? This is where we have to keep it really, really simple, and we have to get back to that basic sensation from which we have disconnected. Back to our pain, back to the things we dislike the most when feeling. We are disliking those feelings because we have connected those feelings with horrific events. And this has caused us to not ever want to go back to that feeling again or do anything that will bring that feeling up. Yeah. The thing is, what we're talking about there is the sense of our very existence, of what we are as a living being. Yeah. And when we are horrified by the feeling of our own existence, we have a serious problem.
Yeah.
That is essentially what trauma is. Not just a bit of pain, not a bit of this, not a bit of that. We can get over that. But can we get over our false associations with feelings that make up what it is to be us? We can, but how do we do this? Is we have to be able to feel those sensations. And at first they will feel horrific. But as we keep feeling them, we will discover in the feeling of those sensations relief and a change, not in the sensation, but in our perception of that sensation, our association with that sensation. In other words, enlightenment, if there is such a thing, has got nothing to do with changing the way you are, but changing your biased perception of yourself that's come about through disassociation and trauma.
Yeah.
So the problem again is thinking. Yeah. How we have learnt to think about our absolute essence of our being when we feel its presence has caused us to shy away from it. Yeah. And so to heal to that level, we've got to get away from all these complications. And to heal to that level is really what I'm saying. This will heal everything in the sense of this will bring you back to your own sense of yourself without the effects of the trauma tainting that sense of yourself. But doing that is what I call natural meditation. The meditation that the body does, not that we, the thinking being, do.
Yep.
And what is the meditation the body does? We have no control over that. We just have to sit still long enough to feel what the body wants to do.
Yep.
Yeah. And just feel that, and going through the feeling of that, through the sensations of that and the whole turmoil of that, if there is turmoil, breaks down our fear and breaks down our misassociation, our misconception of the very core elements that make us up as a human being. And sexuality, the power to procreate, the power to survive, to feel safe. These are essential to feel healed. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what I'm suggesting here is This habit of taking painkillers, and it becomes a habit because we become more and more, the other reason it becomes more and more frightening to revisit our pain when we have deliberately disconnected from it. Because the act of disconnecting from our pain by taking painkillers, the act of doing that is the act of our belief that our pain is our enemy and we are frightened of it. And the more we act on a habit, on a belief, the more it becomes a habit, the more we believe it, the more it causes us to lack resilience with pain, because as soon as pain's there, we panic. As we lack resilience with pain, and we panic, it upsets us more, which then validates our belief that pain is bad.
Yeah.
And this is a type of mind control brainwashing that goes on within the medical system itself.
Yeah, exactly.
To use drugs to mess with the organism that we are to such a degree that we have our own sovereignty of our own well-being taken away from us by being talked into being frightened of ourselves. And you know, I'll ask you a question. I want to ask you a question.
Right.
I'm very interested in your answer. What is the only thing that you are frightened of? When you bring everything back to its origin, what are you frightened of?
I don't really know how to answer that, Matthew, because I don't really do fear on anything. I know me. So if I was going to be frightened of anything, we were not knowing myself, I think.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know you because you sense you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would that be fair to say that? Is that okay?
Yeah. No,
is that
it's
correct?
bang on. Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Hang on. You know you the only way you can know you because you're in the sense of yourself all the time. You can't escape it, right?
Yeah.
You know you. Yeah. When a person takes these medications that cause you to forget and to cause you to disconnect, then, which you say, and I know this will be true, this makes a lot of sense to me now, that you've always avoided doing any of that all your life. I'm the same. Yeah. Because once you do that, if you do that, you lose a knowledge of yourself.
Mm.
But you forget you've lost that knowledge of yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what medication does to people.
Yeah.
They actually forget what they've forgotten, so they don't know they've forgotten.
Yeah.
And the frightening thing was to find out that blood pressure tablets have this effect. Because so many people are on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's very frightening. I don't know if all blood pressure tablets have this effect, but it's definitely some do. Yeah. And so I don't think anybody knows what they're doing when they are medicating people.
Mm.
They know what they're doing as far as I want to get them numb enough to do something to them, cut them, whatever. Yeah.
Mm.
But I always feel that a person only reverts to suppression of a condition because they don't want to admit they haven't got a clue what to do about it. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Makes sense.
Yep.
But, and if a doctor or a physician or anybody, it doesn't matter who they are, and I don't care what they say about me. Maybe I'm a crazy lunatic. I know I'm not, but how do you know? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, call me a lunatic. Great. You need to sense what's going on.
Exactly.
You need to be connected in yourself, and you won't achieve that through avoiding your pain.
Yeah.
And you won't achieve that through using techniques to get in touch with your pain or techniques to meditate. Yeah. You have to let your body guide that process, because only your body knows on a very different level what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
And also, as you're healing, what happens if you're healing trauma and so on, because we've talked about trauma a bit today, and the healing of trauma, you don't know. You should never go looking for a pain. I want to heal this. This is absolute arrogance of the thought process. Your body will, what will come out of you when you sit quietly will be what you are ready to deal with.
Yeah, in that moment.
This is in that moment.
Yeah.
Well, this is the amazing thing I've seen with tens of thousands of people throughout my life running meditation retreats and the clinics that I've run. It's mind-boggling. It's really, really inspiring. Is that the person has their own innate intelligence functioning. They just need to feel into it to activate it. What's going to happen is that body is going to bring forward the memory. If it's got 1,000 traumas in there, 100 traumas in there, or 10 traumas in there, it's going to, what's going to surface first is the one that, for very good reason, is not buried under massively complicated thought processes in order to avoid it. The one that is the shallowest, the one that his person is most capable of dealing with first will emerge. And then the next one, and then the next one. It's really amazing. So I say we should never force it upon ourselves to recover from the condition we want to recover from, but simply sit still and let your system recover in its own order, own natural order. I'm throwing something in there I haven't even explained. I've just witnessed this thousands of times.
It makes perfect sense to me. It's like when I say to people, most people are short on magnesium, as an example. And if you're taking magnesium for a very specific thing, like you're getting blinding migraines or something, don't be surprised if nothing happens, because your body knows where it needs the magnesium the most. You don't. So get the magnesium in you, let your body do its thing, and eventually it'll get around to the headaches.
There you go. And we don't know. It's busy doing more important things.
Keeping you alive primarily.
Exactly. Trying to keep you alive. It's trying to keep itself alive. So hopefully, we've helped people. Actually, I'll go. Did you have some more questions that you wanted to throw my way?
I don't think so. I think that would be for another podcast, because I'm sure I can come up with a whole load of them. But that was particularly interesting and useful, and we covered some ground I didn't expect us to cover as well, which is great. Thank you.